doesn't heal now, I'm still hurting. When you reaching out to my child, that is my child. I am your mother, Kamiyah. I am your mother.
What a day of testimony. You just heard testimony there from the sentencing phase of the Gloria Williams trial. And today, Kamiyah Mobley's biological mother, that's who you heard from, and father took the stand. And
we have team coverage for you tonight from downtown Jacksonville. Let's send it out now to First Coast News anchor Heather Crawford. Heather?
Jeannie, it was a very emotional day of testimony here at the Duval County Courthouse. Testimony for the day has just ended. It's going to resume tomorrow morning. But this testimony you heard just a moment ago from Kamiyah Mobley's biological mother, Shanara Mobley, comes as the sentencing hearing of her daughter's kidnapper, Gloria Williams. It will be up to the judge to decide what sentence Williams gets. Now, this was definitely a cold case that stunned this community and really made headlines all around the world. The newborn, snatched back in 1998 from a Jacksonville hospital, was discovered 18 years later, alive and well in Walterboro, South Carolina. Taking the stand today, Kamiyah Mobley's biological mother says she cannot get those 18 years back that were stolen from her. And as she was recounting what happened the day her newborn was snatched by a stranger posing as a nurse, we saw Gloria Williams wiping away tears as she listened. Then audible gasps could be heard in the courtroom when Shanara said the death penalty would be appropriate for Gloria Williams. That obviously is not on the table, but Shanara did recommend that Williams get the full 22-year maximum sentence she's facing.
Because if me and my child relationship can get along, I need her away, far away where she cannot contact my baby. Well, my baby can't even get to her.
So 18 years of milestones Shanara Mobley will never get back. You could hear her anger, her frustration. She said this is still ongoing for her, still very emotional. And continuing our team coverage now live outside the courthouse is my colleague Julia Janae. And Julia, I can only imagine what it was like for Kamiyah Mobley, who's now 19, hearing her biological mother today emotionally break down on the stand while the woman who raised her, who she called mom, sat there listening.
Absolutely. A very difficult position for her to be in. Of course, this is a sentencing hearing, so it's not about guilt or innocence, and it's appropriate for people to tell the judge while they're testifying what they think is appropriate as far as the time Gloria Williams should get behind bars. Those people testifying didn't hold back. Inside, some of the last voices we heard from were defense witnesses. Gloria Williams' husband and her son both having their views on why their mother, their wife, should be returned home. But as you said earlier, the biological parents of Kamiyah Mobley testified, and her father, Craig Aiken, he said that he had talked to Kamiyah about what would be the appropriate sentence, and he knew it was going to be difficult because he said she didn't want to see Gloria Williams do any time, but this is what he said he recommended to the judge.
You will have to get the max just to show the next person. Now, what you do with that max, game time, whatever you get off of that, you know, that's all on you. I just need for them to set the bar for everybody else.
I want my wife to come home, Your Honor. I realize that she made a mistake.
Second person there testifying was Gloria Williams' current husband, Renoski Williams. Now, who we haven't heard from yet is Kamiyah Mobley. We learned from her father, Craig, that she planned to be here today, but that she does not want to take the stand. She's been sitting far back in the courtroom with many empty rows between her and anyone else. She's far away from our cameras when she sits in that position, but she's hearing a lot of this emotional testimony on both sides and taking it all in. Heather.
Really a tale of two different Gloria Williams we heard today. Julia, thank you very much. I want to bring in now our legal analyst, attorney Sam Garrison. You've been following this sentencing hearing day one very closely today. And at the end of the day, that we know the prosecution's called all of its witnesses to testify. But we just found out, Ann Schindler is our reporter in the courtroom right now, and she just tweeted out that Gloria Williams' attorney is going to be submitting to the judge 4 or 5 interviews that Kamiyah Mobley has done with news outlets in lieu of her testifying. So we know that Kamiyah is not going to take the stand, but what do you make of this?
But it's a creative strategy by the defense. Certainly they want to get their client's story in front of the judge, but the last thing they want to have is their client subject to cross-examination, which would happen if she were to testify. The state's represented in this case by Alan Mizrahi, who's a very experienced senior trial attorney who would absolutely get her to admit to things that she does not want to talk about.
And so is it likely that Gloria Williams herself is going to take the stand tomorrow?
Given what we just learned from inside the courtroom, I'd be stunned.
Stunned if she took the stand.
Yes.
So she's facing a maximum sentence of 22 years. How likely is it she's going to get that full sentence?
Well, you know, as part of the negotiated disposition, she was originally facing a 30-year cap. So the state will argue that she's already received the benefit of that 8 years that's been taken off the possible sentence by having a cap of 22 years. They're certainly going to ask for the max. Given the statements of Kamiyah's mother in court today and just the crazy circumstances that we heard about this case, I'd be stunned if it's not somewhere close to that number.
Now, what role will the judge take in? How big of a role does it play? The fact that it appears Gloria Williams lovingly raised Kamiyah Mobley as her own daughter. She was living for 18 years under the name Alexis Manigo, and by all accounts had a good life.
Well, the Judge Aho is certainly going to view all the aggravation and mitigation and try to make the decision she thinks is the right thing to do in light of the circumstances. But you know, all that you've talked about is important and true. But the reality of it is, a child was taken from her mother, and when that poor family had to suffer untold years of agony and doubt as a result of that. I think it's going to be very difficult to have a sentence that's not proportionate with that crime.
And we heard Kamiyah Mobley's biological father say today he hopes that this judge makes example out of Gloria Williams so that people don't think they can go and just kidnap children and get away with it. Sam, we're going to have a lot more from you coming up tonight at 6. I appreciate your legal analysis. We are going to be live streaming day 2 of the sentencing hearing tomorrow morning. It is set to get underway, resume at 10 a.m. We have a lot more on our website on this, and we're going to have a lot more tonight live from the Duval County Courthouse at 6 o'clock. That is the latest from here. We'll send it back into the studio to you.
And for the latest on the Gloria Williams sentencing, download the First Coast News app for up-to-the-minute updates and breaking news alerts. The app is free for both Android and Apple users.